Calvin, welcome to the show.
Gracie, it's a pleasure to be here. I know we've been trying to do this for it's a couple of years now.
I think
so
it's 3.
it's good to
When did you join CUB?
I've been at CUB now almost 5 years. Yeah,
So it probably is 3 years.
Yeah.
You've been there nearly 5 years.
Almost 5 years.
So I've been a member for 8, which I find ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and it is ridiculous that I've been there for almost 5. Yeah.
That's wild.
It goes quickly.
God. Anyway, before we get into that, let's, and if anyone watching the show doesn't realise that Calvin and I know each other, let's go back to the beginning and let's sort of talk about, firstly do a quick intro as to who you are, what your current role is, and then we'll sort of go back to where your journey started, because it's a super cool story.
Yeah.
But tell the world what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so Calvin, I'm the club head and equity partner of CUB Sydney. So CUB is a community of entrepreneurs. We've got around 1,000 members now across Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
They're all, owners, founders, CEOs, so key decision makers of the businesses. They typically sit between that kind of 2 and 50 million in revenue. So it's not the kind of early stage startups and it's not the biggest kind of, businesses in town. And I guess what we do in essence is we actively facilitate relationships between our members through a number of events and forum type scenarios. But I guess fundamentally speaking, the way that we position ourselves is as a community of entrepreneurs all coming together to be around others who are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Obviously building good organic relationships of that nature over time and letting pockets of opportunity fall as a byproduct of that. So
Pockets of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
where's that one come from?
Who knows what's going to come of it? But it's a great environment. I'm responsible for running the Sydney part of that business.
And those pockets of opportunity.
Whatever they may be.
All right, so let's sort of go back. I mean, obviously, if anyone can't tell, South African, still very strong accent hanging in there.
Yeah.
Talk about, talk about where your life, because very much like you, myself, I didn't have a particularly strong education. I went to a great school, but I didn't go to uni. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think you were in a similar scenario.
Yeah.
So talk about when things started to sort of change for you.
Yeah, it's an interesting, I guess, kind of story. So as you say, like growing up in high school, I was never academically strong. Maybe that's not the right way to put it. It wasn't something that I really kind of
I think there's a difference between intelligence and academic.
Agreed.
Right? So you can be super smart and not academic. That's 100%. I think that's what you meant.
100%. And I wasn't academically inclined. It wasn't something that excited me. And so struggled a bit at school, but was always very strong in a social sense.
Yeah.
Making friends and people was always what came naturally to me. And some of my earliest memories is going on holiday with my family and just finding a group of friends, always.
Yeah.
And so I guess, left South Africa at 15, moved to Australia again. Immigration was tough, but it wasn't for me a huge struggle to find a new group of friends and kind of, integrate myself.
So did you come over with your parents, right?
I came over with my parents, yeah. I guess kind of finishing high school in Australia, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Most people kind of my age had an inkling of what they wanted to do, what they wanted to study, and I had absolutely no idea. And right away, we took a gap year, all of us, and then I decided I was going to take another gap year because I just had no idea. I was lost, and I guess kind of toyed around with a number of different things during that time, and eventually. After it was probably about 2 or 3 years after I finished high school, decided I was going to, go back and do what everyone else was doing and study business.
Yeah.
I gave that a crack for a little while. And during that time, I actually went and studied abroad for 6 months in America. Had a great time there. Came back from that trip and decided, again, this isn't for me. I can't do
studying.
I can't study.
Where did you go in America?
Minnesota.
Did you enjoy that more than studying here?
Well, I wasn't really studying over there.
So proper college.
Yeah. Like you watch the movies, it was exactly that and more, which was an amazing experience. But on a university front and on a study front, there wasn't much there. And so, coming back, kind of decided, this isn't for me. And again, was quite lost. And serendipitously around that time, ran into a friend of mine who owned a retail business.
Yeah.
A toy retailer. And he kind of said to me, job, you just dropped out of university. come and work in one of the shops just until you kind of find your feet a little bit. So I did. And I guess there were a few conversations between me and the founders over a number of months, and they were looking for someone to come in an operational sense. They were looking to grow the business. They had 5 shops at the time, and they wanted to scale, but they needed somebody to kind of come in and help them do that. And so there were a couple of conversations, and long story short, I landed up kind of in an operational role. I was about 23, 24, zero experience in retail or operations, but they gave me an opportunity. And I think that was the first moment that I realized, like, okay, you've been given an opportunity to do something, like, grab it by the horns.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, well, mess
you
it
don't
up.
think like that.
But,
You don't think like that. You think, I've got this.
Well, it was just kind of like, I've got to try and make the most out of this. And funnily, before that, I hadn't even really thought of myself as a business person either. But as soon as I saw entrepreneurship, like real entrepreneurship, and that's what the founder was, like he was one of those thoroughbred like entrepreneurs, that excited me and it really resonated with me. And I think once I understood that I had skills with people and that translated into business, that's when I started kind of loving business a bit.
And you stayed with them for quite some time, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was there for about 5 years. Close on.
Which is also unusual for someone at that age in this world that we live in.
Yeah. 100%. And I think, that's one of the things that I always speak about now is like, you've got to have patience. When you're going through your career, you've got to have patience and you've got to see things through. And for me, it was always from day one, I kind of had this attitude of, I'm going to treat this as if it's my own business.
Yeah.
I don't know where that kind of came from exactly, but
it's funny, isn't it?
But that's how I thought.
I think some people think like that. I think it's their nature. I think if they get to a point where they take it seriously enough and they're given enough responsibility, it feels a little bit like they do.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you go back and you try and like analyze these things. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I'd always kind of felt like a bit of a dropkick and almost been positioned that way. And then I had this guy who was an exceptional operator and had a successful company, and all of a sudden, like, he believed in me, and he saw talent in me. And then, in turn, I think that just sparked ambition because now I had a kind of a purpose to map towards.
That makes sense. And so when you left, what was the reason for leaving, and what sort of brought all that on? It sounds like it was going obviously very well.
Yeah, it was. So basically, within that 5-year period, we grew from 5 stores to 25 stores. And there was a transitional kind of moment in there where Toys R Us went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so, all of a sudden the biggest player in the game is gone and there's market share to capitalize on. And so we went on that journey and we did that. We looked at actually buying the Australian part of the business. That didn't happen. But we ended up taking 11 of those shops.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they were massive stores as well. Right?
I had young kids at that stage. I remember how big those stores. I spent hours. And going through that process, like I got to see what rapid scale looked like from the inside out in a very short period of time. Yeah. I think we opened like 14, 15 stores in 2 years, in a 2-year period. That's a lot.
But what happened was, we didn't just take their shops, we took a lot of their head office staff as well.
Yeah, okay.
And so I kind of went from being this young gun, right-hand man to being pushed down the pecking order.
Yeah.
And I don't have any grudge against that. Like, you got to do what you got to do. But I wasn't prepared to be pigeonholed in a certain area of that business that I wasn't passionate about. I had ambition at that point because I had been in the business for a while now.
5 years is a while anyway.
Yeah. And so at that point decided to get out.
So where'd you go from there?
So again, kind of was almost back to day one because I was confused, and the reason I was confused was I'd been spread across pretty much every area of that business, and I didn't feel like I had a specific niche that I was an expert at or that I could go and apply for jobs in. So I didn't really know what I was going to do with myself. And again, it's crazy how serendipity kind of plays its part. But I got introduced to Dan, obviously the founder of CUB, who we'll speak about, through a friend of mine. Dan had posted on LinkedIn he was looking for a head of marketing. I had done a bit of marketing at this retail business, and so got in touch with Dan, met him, and straight away he knew that I wasn't right for the marketing role. He was looking for like a kind of high level CMO, but identified something in me and offered me a job in sales. And I'd never done sales before. But again, you circle back and you understand that what I was always good at was people.
I remember when you started.
And you remember like maybe how shy and how timid and how scared I was.
No, you were nervous.
Yeah, I was.
Super nervous.
I was terrified. I was terrified because all of a sudden I'm in this environment where, I had put this guy that I worked for previously on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And now I'm in an environment where everyone's like that guy.
Yes.
And
that's true. The whole club's entrepreneurs, right?
So I kind of like, and we had a conversation about this. You gave me an amazing piece of advice to kind of help me on this, but I had a lot of imposter syndrome in the early days.
You did.
Because I felt like I didn't belong there. But again, I guess, you've got to, it's that kind of fight or flight thing. When you're scared of things, either you're going to run away or you're going to face them, and that's how you grow. And so sales, whilst I was nervous and intimidated, sales also did come naturally to me. It was the first thing that I found that I really felt just came naturally. And I guess that's where it all kind of started.
What did I say?
You told me, so it's fine. I'll never forget it. So,
I'm glad you could, because I've forgotten.
Well, it was a big moment. It was a big moment for me. It actually shifted my mindset a bit, or a lot. Like we were in an Uber on the way out to lunch, and I was about to actually go on to Dan's podcast.
I do remember now.
And you were telling me how excited you were to listen to it, and I was like, why would you be excited to listen to my podcast? What do I have to offer someone like you? Why would you be interested in that? And you were like, you've got to stop with that attitude immediately. You were like, you actually said these exact words. You said, you've lived a life that nobody else has lived, and somebody somewhere is going to get value out of the things and the experiences that you've had. And that honestly was quite a transitional kind of shift in my mindset, because then I said to myself, you know what? I do have things that I can bring to the table. Regardless of who I'm sitting with, there are things that I can bring to the table. And I guess once you start to get that confidence, then it compounds.
And look at you now. I mean, it's been a hell of a journey. I mean, CUB has been an amazing journey for you. I mean, you grabbed that, again, just like the previous opportunity you had with the toy store, right? You came into CUB, and CUB was, I can't remember how big it was. It was a lot smaller.
A lot smaller,
a couple of hundred, maybe?
Yeah, a couple of hundred. We're about 3.5 years in at that point.
Yeah, I remember. And think about how simplistic the business was now to where it is now, how complex it is now, and the role you have now. Obviously, the flagship store is your store equity partner. I mean, that's a huge jump. I mean, I can't believe it's 5 years, but again, you've taken that opportunity, you grabbed it. There's a lesson in itself to any entrepreneur or anyone who's thinking about it is actually, so many people see these opportunities or get these opportunities and don't do much with them, and then wonder why they haven't got what they want. I think that's the number one lesson you can teach. You've done it twice, and look at where it's taken you both times.
Yeah, I think it's not only do they not do anything with it, I think people are too short-sighted, and it's not just about kind of grabbing the opportunity and running with it. It's also about shutting out the noise that's around you. I can't tell you how many times I had people like friends and acquaintances and whatever it might be saying, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you there? You don't have a piece in the business. They haven't given it to you yet. Like all this noise that you hear.
Yeah.
The reality is nobody knows the inside situation. No. And as long as you're working with people, and I credit Dan in a big way, like Dan has always delivered his promises to me, always. And as long as you're working with people that you trust, and you know that if you earn what they've told you you're going to get, and when you get to that point, they give it to you, then you've got to kind of see it out. You've got to block out the noise as well.
Yeah, like I think that's a good lesson. I mean, I remember when I started my first company, everyone just thought I was an idiot, and I think you're right. I think you get that a lot when if you've seen something and you believe in it, you do have to block out, because no one else ever does.
100%.
And I was talking about this the other day, as you know, you're a business partner, and is going through this 20 months of not drinking, right? And I was talking to someone about this other day, and how sometimes when you decide not to drink, even if you say, I'm not drinking for a week or even one night, right? your friends are trying to get you to drink. God knows why, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why is because they don't feel comfortable that you're not drinking. Because secretly, they probably don't want to drink that night.
100%.
But they don't feel comfortable that you're not. So they try and bring you back down to their level. It's the same thing, right? And I think it's really prevalent here in Australia more than anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, and it's not something, you don't see it. You don't see it often where people, like, when they're not the owner or the founder of the business and they're young, that they actually see things through. People want too much too quick.
Yes.
And then they wonder why they're not getting to where they want to get to. It's because it takes time.
I think everyone's always wanted too much too quick. The difference is, I think, if you go back 40 years, or even back to my era, which isn't quite 40 years, everyone wanted too much too quick. The difference was you didn't get anything too quick. Whereas now, most of society comes too quick.
Or it's perceived to be that way.
Yeah.
You're seeing it all.
Instagram.
So you think it's the reality, but it's not really.
So tell me, you've got goodness knows how many entrepreneurs under your wing, so to speak. How many do you reckon you've met in the last 5 years?
Wow. Yeah, it's funny, like, thousands.
It would be
thousands. Like, when you talk about that 10,000 hours, me and Ant were talking about this the other day. Like, when you talk about that 10,000 hours and becoming an expert in something, like, there's no doubt that I've spent 10,000 hours speaking to people and selling to people and managing relationships and whatever it might be. It's thousands.
So there's patterns in everything, right? And now I'm not a mathematician. I don't see patterns easily. But I see patterns with the recruitment world, because like you, I've met thousands and thousands of candidates. You're unique in that your audience is entrepreneurs. So to have the privilege to meet that many entrepreneurs is amazing, right? I certainly haven't met that many. What patterns have you seen? What are the top 3 things, if you like?
In terms of, like, what they look for in an environment like ours, or just in general?
Doesn't matter. Just in general, I think it doesn't have to be anything specific.
Yeah,
probably the things that jump out to you the most, and it doesn't have to be relevant to the club.
I think, the underlying kind of commonality with most entrepreneurs is that, like, they're lonely. They're lonely in their journey. It's a very hard journey. It's a very tough journey. And it's not a journey that most people understand.
I would not have expected you to say that as the number one. That's really interesting.
It's the reason we built our business.
Well, yeah.
So, like, that's a problem that we identified and then tried to fix. So I have to use that theme. But it's the truth, like, you'll know this better than anyone.
Completely true.
How many people in people's kind of immediate circles are business owners when they're running a business and go through the same pressures that they go through day on day? Your family don't want to hear it. Your friends don't want to hear it. And so who do you actually have to lean on?
Yeah.
The only time you can do that is when you meet another business owner. So loneliness is one. I always, and I'm the same way, most entrepreneurs are messy. Like, it's just the truth. Like, business owners in general are just messy. And it's funny, like, because I've been on the other side of it, where I worked I worked with that guy for a long, long time. And the messiness of him frustrated the shit out of me.
So define messy.
Well, messy, like, your head's going in a million different directions at the same time.
Not messy as in they're drunk all the time.
No. Messy as in your head's going in a million different directions at the same time. I do think that within that, it's organized chaos. I think the successful entrepreneur has the ability to keep their focus on the right thing. So the focus on the macro allows you to go all over the place.
And they switch easily where others can't follow them, I think, is the other thing. I find that I do that. We've got 2 or 3 different businesses right now, and I'll be talking to someone, and I'll switch between businesses, and they're looking at me going, what is he talking about? And to me, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's something that I see a lot. Like, I notice it a lot. And
that's interesting too.
And that's quite a kind of common theme. And then it's just becomes, like, interesting as to the different types of founders that you come across, right? So, like, you might come across, like, a sales-driven founder, which are guys like us, I suppose, who are the people's people and go out and sell and build relationships and so on and so forth. Then you meet the technical founder, the ones who are good at building the products and the back end. And then it's just interesting to see the way that the different types of founders navigate in a networking environment, because they are different. They are completely.
We see it in the way they build their businesses. So the way the product, I think there's sort of 5. I think there's sales. I think there's tech. I think there's product. I think there's then the finance guy, and then there's the marketing guy, and they all build their businesses completely differently. And those businesses look different until they get to a point where they have to start building a leadership team, and then they start to even out, right?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to see how they can build such similar companies that are totally different because of the way they think. Because ultimately, most businesses are a reflection of the founder, right?
Yeah.
Until they get to
100%
certain mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So tell me, where now? I mean, CUB's obviously going through this massive evolution at the moment. What's next for you? I mean, you're now running Sydney.
Yep.
It's grown to a point where it's enormous compared to where it was. How has your role changed?
Yeah, I mean, that's been probably the biggest kind of shift in my career, from going from kind of salesperson to leader and owner.
Yeah.
It's funny. I learned this lesson, and Dan, it's funny when I talk about probably the two biggest kind of mentors I've had. It's the guy at the retail business, and then Dan, who's the founder. And when I look at what each person has kind of given me, the guy at the retail business showed me what it meant to be an operator, and Dan has taught me what it is to be a leader.
Interesting.
And I think the biggest shift that I had to make when I got this role was distinguishing what it was to actually be a leader.
Yeah.
And I got taught very early on that you can't be given the title leader. That doesn't work like that. You have to earn the respect of everybody in order for them to look at you as a leader.
Yeah.
And so I think that transition took me a bit of time to understand that, okay, just because I've got the title head, that now everybody has to listen to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. If you can't fix people's problems, and if you can't absorb pressure from the top and actually make it calmer, with your team, no one's going to perceive.
Isn't that the fun part of being a leader? Absorbing the pressure.
Yeah,
just
awesome.
Don't we all just want more of that?
Yeah. It's but I think you do have to love it to a degree. You kind of do.
Yeah, you can't. I think you're right. I think it's like the sadist in some way. You have to enjoy the pain. Like an endurance athlete or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
You don't love it, but you do love it, kind of thing.
Exactly. And so, that transition has been, now the last almost kind of 3 years. And I think transitioning from you're the salesperson and all you're focused on is bringing in new business to now I need to empower, I've got a team of 7.
Yeah.
Now I need to empower the team of 7.
Just 7.
Yeah. There's 7 in Sydney now, and you've got to empower them to now, do what they have to do and manage relationships, bring in new business, manage the events, Don't micromanage. Just try and let
That's the hardest thing. It's stopping doing that. When you've done the role yourself, I think if you have a new business, if you're going to start a new business, you haven't necessarily done that role to the same level you have. It's a little easier to not micromanage, or even just because you've started that company yourself from scratch. But I think when you've done a role and worked your way up, it's a really hard, because you just know what to do.
Yeah,
you kind of want to do it.
Yeah, but I think people make a mistake in doing that.
No, they do. No one learns in it.
100%, and not only do they not learn, I believe that people are actually a lot more capable than a lot of people give them credit for. Because I felt like that myself. I don't think people thought I was that capable.
Yeah.
And I think if you got to kind of let people make the mistakes.
It's awful.
It is awful. It's a horrible thing to watch, and you can almost sometimes you can see it happening.
Yeah, car crash.
Exactly.
The whole thing's
dreadful. It's like, okay, I have to just stop and let it happen.
Wait till you have kids, same thing. Except they're smaller.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's all part and parcel. I'm right in the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
And so obviously I have a huge amount to learn, but I'm really enjoying the process of going from salesperson, employee to leader, owner, and what's next.
Well, let's talk about CUB a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously I've been there a long time. When I joined, it was like 10 people just meeting up on a Friday and having some beers to what it is now. I guess for anyone who's watching who maybe doesn't, there's a lot of our audience who won't be CUB members.
Yep.
Although the funny thing is, when I mention CUB now, very few people haven't heard of it, which is bizarre to me, because when I joined, obviously no one did. But if you haven't heard of CUB, or if you are thinking about joining CUB, and I speak to a lot of people about that, and people ring me up even without you guys saying "Call Steve" and ask me what it's like.
You're the poster boy.
which is really, I always find that interesting when people ask me that. But you can probably say it far better than I can. What define CUB to me? If someone's out there looking at it, What is it? What are they going to get out of it?
Yeah. So as I kind of said before, it's a community of business owners in its simplest form. But basically we have, very kind of measured systems in which we engage our members and connect our members.
Yep.
So once somebody joins, there's kind of three main ways in which they connect. The first way is a forum-based service that we call our core networking service. Yep. What happens is when someone joins, we'll actually sit with them and do a network profile with them. So we kind of build the context around the membership and we figure out, the value they bring to the community, the value they want to get out. Based on that, at the beginning of each quarter, we set them up with a group of 10 other members where we kind of feel there's synergies in the group. Yeah. And with that group of 10, they'll meet 3 times throughout a quarter. So there's a meeting a month. And then that process gets rinsed and repeated every quarter. Yeah. So by the end of 12 months, they've met around 30 to 40 people.
3 times a year, or is it
3 times a year?
3 times a year.
3 times.
Don't do it in Christmas.
Correct. So the final quarter of the year is like more social in nature, but we rinse and repeat that 3 times throughout 12 months. So we can guarantee that you'll meet a bare minimum of 30 to 40 people of that nature. That's a great kind of systemized way to build out a diverse network. Yeah. The second part that we do is a function we call communities. Those are more niche groups that people can join around areas of interest, expertise, demographics. So, for example, we have a technology community, a property and construction community, a VC and capital raising community. We have more kind of, I guess, social focused ones like golf, wine, sports, health and wellness. So a whole bunch of different communities people can join that allow them to network with people they've got an underlying commonality with. And then the third part to it is just a kind of ad hoc calendar that goes out to the entirety of the community. It's broken up into social stuff like, lunches, drinks, and so on and so forth. And then commercially focused stuff or knowledge focused stuff, which are like workshops, think tanks, seminars, and things.
There's a lot more events. How many events do you reckon you do a year?
I mean, last year we did 450 events across.
Wow!
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
450.
It's insane. Our events team our whole team, to be fair, like it's just it's astronomically high, the number of events that we do. 450. We tracked it, and that was the number that we came to. But the trick is the relationship management element of it, in that you have a point of contact in our business so that you don't have to look at these 450 events and say, well, like, what am I supposed to do here? We figure out what's relevant, what's valuable, and then we help you attend the ones that make the most sense.
And so what's next? I know we've got new clubhouses opening, right? So this is sort of, and I'm intrigued to know, so you got what? Brisbane?
Yeah.
Parramatta?
Parramatta's on
obviously Melbourne's got a new clubhouse, which I haven't been to see yet. What's the one after that?
We basically want to open in every major business hub in the country. Yeah. So the immediate ones that we're looking at is Brisbane and Parramatta. Yeah. We've got kind of opportunities popping up in Perth, in Adelaide. Yeah. Gold Coast is one that we want to do as well. And then, 3 to 5 years time, we want to start looking international as well. So we think there's opportunities in Dubai, Singapore, 100%. New York, London. It's an exciting time, almost 10 years into the company now. We feel like we're in a position where we can scale.
Do you think you'll start doing national events as you begin that, or you try and bring people together? Obviously, because it's great to meet entrepreneurs in Sydney, but it'd be even better to meet entrepreneurs in Perth that you would never come across.
Funny you say that. I won't give away too much because it's something that we're working on internally at the moment. And Kirsten's who's our events manager, she's made this into her baby. But there's something big coming towards the end of the year that's going to cross-pollinate a little bit, which is exciting.
Towards the end of the year, so that's another 7-8 months. We might have to get you back on.
What is what? Sorry,
get you back on the show.
We can do a little launch. We can do a little launch. Maybe we'll get Kirsten to come on here as well.
Yeah, maybe we should. She's been there a while now as well.
Yeah, Kirsten's probably coming up on 2 years now. She's exceptional. Yeah, she's become like an anchor for our team. Yeah. But the whole team. I mean, anyone, member or team member, if you ask them what's the best part about CUB, anybody will say the team and the culture.
Yeah, true.
It's really something special there.
Awesome. Look, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for
having me. I have learned some stuff. In all the time I've known you, there's still things I'm learning, which is good. I'm excited to see what CUB does next. It's been fascinating to really watch it from the beginning to now. It really has. So I'm looking forward to see what you're going to do next as well, and how your role's going to change, because I have no doubt once you go national and international, Sydney's not going to be enough for you.
No, and that's the plan.
Yeah, so it's cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming and watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.